chairs, put it on the back side.
If you're speaking later, feel free to come to the benches in the front.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Dagoteshi, Venezuela Seshi, Sentawas Kamiyu, Chichaka in Aran, Chikan, Shamani Filas, West Manchester Nosy. Good morning. My name is Vanessa Nosy. I'm from the Old People Stand in the Row clan. My parents are Western Chista Nosy and Chilkawa Apache. I thank you for being here this morning. Kind of emotional. I should say kind of, it is. It's a blessing this morning for all of us to come together, and I want to thank all the tribal nations that are here, that are representing their people, their community, their way of life. It's an honor. And why I say it was emotional, because I think back to the stories and the teachings that my grandmother and my father had passed down to me, and how we were that one drum, one prayer, one circle, and we're that living proof. Every one of us here today, and carrying our ancestors with us, and not only our ancestors, but those future generations that we fight so hard for. And so it's been a blessing to stand here with all you guys. I want to thank all the faith leaders, for joining us today. Because our biggest battle as Indigenous people has been the Christian faith to wipe us out. And so, you guys being here, we're rewriting history. And that's a blessed gift. Because we all have a right to have our faith. We all have a right to have the blessed gift that God has given us. And that's what this fight is about. It's about the Spirit. So we know that we need each and every one of us to make that change for those future generations. So I'm really grateful to be standing here today among many powerful tribes and nations and people that are willing to tell the United States that there's no longer, don't put it on us to wipe out another religion. So I'm very grateful. I do want to call up my dad to say a few words. It's always hard to introduce my dad. Well, it's not very easy, but I always stand next behind him, wanting to learn, because I want to pick up the fight. I want to pick up the fight for those future generations. But I know I can never fill his shoes. I can get really close, but I don't think I can ever fill his shoes, because he's very unique and he has a purpose. And that was his blessed gift that God had created him. He wakes up every day with a purpose. He goes to bed every day with a purpose. And that purpose comes from his heart, his spirit, his mind. And that's to protect all of God's creation. From the smallest level to the people of all faiths, of all colors, to everything that God, Joseph, has touched, from the universe to the ground. And as a little girl, I couldn't understand that for a very long time because I didn't want to lose my dad. But I'm blessed and honored to come from a man that is such a great leader for all people. And that's what makes him great. He's for the people. He's for God's creation. And I'm really blessed to have him as a father and also former chairman of the St. Croix Apache tribe and the founder of Apache Stronghold. Everything that he's done in his life for Yoson's work, Creator's work. So I'd like to bring out my dad, Master Wilson Sr.
All right. I haven't really used the mic up here before, so it's strange. I just want to say, reflecting on what Vanessa said, people ask me sometimes about how I'm introduced, and that's really something how she introduces me. But when I hear that, I hear a lot of people before me. A lot of the elders that are no longer here. A lot of the tribal leaders that are no longer here. My mother is no longer here. And a lot of the medicine people, the holy ones that are not here. And especially my mother, I give her the most thanks I can give to someone because of her saying that you have to be a father, grandfather, you have to be a brother, you have to be an uncle. There's all these things you have to do because in the old ways, there was always someone ahead trying to protect the family, risking their neck. And when I got older, I told her, I said, Mom, I feel like I'm living your life and I'm not living mine. And I remember her laughing and saying, yeah, you are. You are living my life. Because what I see and what you're doing is what I wish we could have done. And he said, and she goes on to say that your children will live the life that you wish you could live. So when I see my children, my grandchildren, I'm so proud. And they are living their life. Because there's a lot of us that we got to sacrifice for the true purpose and the true intent. I'm going to try to be really brief, but I think it's important, what we're doing. What's important is in the Indian belief, Indigenous people, we have the hoop. In Apache here, we call it Bonsai. Bonsai triggers everything from creation. The song that the men sang for you this morning is about taking our soul to God's house. And your soul left you to be in his presence so that he can talk to you. It's not about what we can do here. It's about what you can get from God and the Creator, who's one. And the song that they sang for you takes you there in your spirit. And these are the oldest song of creation. This is the beginning, time immemorial for us, is what you heard. And I guess you would say it goes back before the Bible. That the blessed gift of what God gave the world. And we remind ourselves that this was the first beginning of what God gave. This is like our mother. This is like our older sister. And somewhere it was forgotten. Somewhere it wasn't spoke of anymore. Because when you breathe right now, it's life. This is real. Mother Earth that you have your foot on, this is the mother that provides for you. This is real. the water that it gives us to carry on life, to give birth. This is real. The reason why I say this is because it was told to me that you're going to hear so many different things, son. But come here. Taking me outside to feel the wind, to see the trees, to see the animals. This is what God created. This is what is here for us. But when you go in the outside world, they're going to say so many different things and confuse you. Because, son, there's evil here. A long time ago, in the prophecy that led to the prophecy was that in the Bible, you know him as Satan. You know him as the evil one, Lucifer. Well, the Indian people say he already came here when he was destroying the other side of the world. He already came here. But the difference was that from the north to the south, to the west to the east, there was one drum, one circle, one prayer. It couldn't penetrate us the way it did on the other side of the world. But he made us smart and said, I'll be back. So from that day on, the native people knew something was coming. When? We didn't know when. So now the newcomers came. And yes, for over almost 500 years plus, we thought the white people were the evil one. Because we couldn't understand killing children, killing elders. Because the elders have the historic history about the earth. And you're killing them. They were being killed. And made our people to defend what we had to defend. For life. For what God gave the world. Because we couldn't understand. So I grew up in a time where, wow, in the 60s and 70s, all these elders that were born late 1800s and early 1900s were still trying to dissect what happened. And in Apache, there's no word for colonization or capitalism. But in their own way, they defined it. This is what it is. Because they're taking you away from the earth. They're taking away you from the family. They're breaking all these things up to make you a machine. So you have no feelings, no more. So that's where the evil lies. So son, you're going to have to go and find these people. You're going to have to find these people if we're really going to make a change in this life that we all live. Because remember, on the other side of the world, these people cried because of colonization and capitalism. They cried because they were being prosecuted. They prayed. For some reason, they came here. And you have to look at it like for a miracle for them. They were brought to this country to not face those persecutions that were going on the other side of the world. But somewhere things get lost, son. In your generation, you're going to have to find what happened. And that's what put me on my journey. To go back to Europe. Go across this country and meet so many people. White people, black people, Asian people, everybody you meet. I have to say, I never mentioned the Mexicans because they come from us. I had a Mexican get upset with me and say, hey, I come here to talk about Chicanos. I said, you come from us. When I talk about it, I'm talking about you too. So any Chicanos out there, you're one of us. We have all these problems with immigration. Yet you come from us. When are you going to claim us? Remember that. Because for us, we see it differently. But anyway, meeting all these people and all the things that they shared. I come back when my mother was alive and share that with her. All she could say was, son, it's terrible. It's ugly. Because these people are here, don't even know why they're here. They don't even know the reason why they're here. So I go back and I go east and I talk to so many white people. I had a group of about 400. Guy come up to me and said, hey, these guys want to talk to you. And I looked over there and I said, oh, yeah, there's a bunch of guys over there. So I walked over to them and the one spokesperson said to me, Mr. Novi, you lose us as ancestors. You talk about your ancestors. I can only go back as far as my grandfather, but I can't go back any further. Then they tell me, we feel for you because that's the same thing we went through. There were all these promises that our great-great-great-grandparents were promised, but when we came here to America, we were stripped from that. And we were told to be Americans. Even us was colonized and forced into a capitalist world. We were told to drop all our indigenous ways that we had from Europe. We understand what you're saying because we can feel it. There's something deep in here that you're waking up. Man, just sitting back and listening to that. And that's why I tell people, anywhere I go to the white people, you're indigenous too. You're indigenous. You had the same thing we had. What you're seeing today is the same thing your great-great-great-great-great-grandparents did. The same worries we have today, they had. The same thing. So the hoop was broken. I sit with my Indian people. They talk strong, talk mighty. But then the reality is that we're not here by ourselves anymore. My mother used to say, you got to remember, they're your family too. There's no such word as being discriminating because you're a family. Treat them like family. I know they talk real bad about the Apache wars. But we've seen all these people come to our country that were really nice, but we didn't know what they were after. You're sitting in the area of the Apache territory that has minerals like crazy. My mother used to see the boar, the wild pig, and say, hey, you made it too, just like us. And what she meant by that was because they used to kill the boar, the pig, the wild pig, to look inside their teeth to find the silver. So they'll know where to dig. I have a friend in Globe, graduated with. He tells me, Wesley, don't be so upset because we're with you. The reason why is that a lot of white people came from the east that didn't know how to read. And like you Apaches, they put them right into working with mercury. There's a lot of white people buried in this mountain because they didn't know. So you're in the country that really bears so much of the past. You're in a part of the country that history of our way somewhat ended into a new beginning. But it's only been like over 100 years. Here in Apache country, the reservation didn't become what it is until in 1934, 1936. My mother was born in the 1920s, living in a concentration camp. My grandfather and those before were prisoners of war. So anybody here from San Carlos that's born after 1936, your firstborn reservation. That's how close it is. It's not even long for us. So you come to a very important part of all our lives about what it means for the rest of the country. And I go across the country even telling Congress, I have a right to say what I want to say. Because we're the best evaluators of you. Because we see all the destruction that you've done. And you don't even care for your own people. Look at all this federal land that's being given up to corporations. You're sitting on a parcel here that China 7% is going to own. And yet you hear all these things in the news about how China's bad. Why is 75% of the copper going there? Nobody says nothing in America. Not even our congressional leaders say anything. Because you know how bad it is? In New York, we had the police department, NYPD, join this fight to help us. Then all of a sudden, we lost them. Why did we lose them? Because their 401ks tied into minerals. The reason why we don't get the support that we should get is because everybody's tied into it financially and politically. This is our country. What you see here is a place where it rains and snow, and it's like a horseshoe. Everywhere else, the tributaries are contaminated. The groundwaters are contaminated. The Gulf and Miami area feed off the water that comes off this mountain. And not only that, this is a female. Because you could be born here and you could die here as an elder. Everything is here that you need. And what our people get so upset about is because the United States is killing all these places. All these places are dying. A 2 mile wide, 1,000 deep, 184 degrees is on rise to the surface. 10 degrees hotter in a 50-mile radius. The people down there in Phoenix are sleeping, not paying attention. Leaving it all up to our congressional leaders to make these real good decisions for us. But all you see is disaster coming. We have support all over the country, but because laws were vacated, the environmental impact. So John McCain put in this late night rider, regardless of the outcome, the land transfer will take place. Even though it's an ugly, ugly land transfer, it's going to happen anyway. These are the times that we're living in. There's things happening on the other side of the world right now. Because of colonization, because of capitalism. Let's be honest. That's why that's happening. They don't care about life no more, about children. And I like to come back to my mother because she used to say, no, Joseph brought these people here for a reason. Because in this country, we're so diverse with so many people that if we could just do it right, we could teach the rest of the country, the world, where this started from. But they have to let the Indian people speak. We have to be a part of this healing. So going back to Bonset. Today you came in a circle. We have the fire from the center of the earth to the sun lit before you. Change here the wood that warms us, feeds us, cooks the food, the deer skin. It soaks the feathers, the drums. The drums represent the universe. When you hear them pounding, it's the thunder. The sticks are the lightning when it hits, creates the sound. Boom, boom, boom. So all this is intertwined to what God created the world to be and how to pray. Because the important part that we have to understand is that where is evil? I talk to a lot of people. They point evil at different places. It's over there. Oh, it's happening over there. Oh, these guys are fighting. Oh. And I'm like, evil starts with us. We create that evil. What you see again, all these things that happen in the country, is because it's created by us. And that's the thing that we are taught. Because God made both. But as human beings, we lost the ability to contain it. So it's taught to us that it's like two vehicles. One is bad and one is good. It's you that's going to drive that vehicle. So collectively, you see the world the way it's going is we're all feeding into it. We're all driving that ugly vehicle to see all these things that are happening right now. So the Indian people, in healing, we have to take that mirror and look at ourselves first. Before you do anything for anybody, you have to look at yourself first. Because you're the only person that can judge yourself. You can't judge nobody else. My mother used to say, how much today did you pray? Yeah, did you pray today? You have to move that good vehicle. If you move it, your children will move it. If you move it, everybody else around you will move it. But if you can't even move the vehicle yourself, then what good are you to anybody else? You have a problem. So we have this thing. It's a sacred journey. It's a personal journey to sacred unity. Believe it or not, even though you may have come with somebody, it's your personal journey to get here. Now you sit among everybody here in a sacred gathering. So the hoot, we come in. This is our way of Mother Earth in the circle. To keep what's evil in the wind that people talk about, what's happening today that is bad. It's in the wind, they criticize. In Apache, we used to say, don't say that, don't ever talk like that. If you talk, you put it in the wind. Because God made this too. It's pure, but you can make it bad. And you put it in the wind, then it's going to affect the person. It's going to make people sick. So we have to be careful with what we say. This is why these things are here. They get the wrong interpretation. They say, oh, we pray for all these bad things. This isn't God. We didn't say it's God. This is tools of the beginning. These are special. Nothing wrong with it. I go to churches. I take part. It's the belief of what you have in your heart that makes it special. I think it really comes down to the person who preaches it or how they use it and where it gets misinterpreted. So, in the hoop, in talking to the Indian people, we know there's a gap. And that gap is all the people who have come here. So today represents a birth. Today represents a healing. Today represents a new beginning. And we want to thank you for coming in the way you did. Because you came in the old way. In the beginning for what it was for us. Because here, billions of water are going to be destroyed. My people are so caught up with also assimilating that they're not paying attention. I get criticized from people back home. Sometimes I feel like I'm a walking disease. Nobody wants to come talk to me because I'm fighting for this. Because they don't understand. It's all right. Because I know if I was to put copper and water beside them and say, they're real thirsty, which are you going to drink? And probably by then they'll change their face. They say, oh, the water. One can't drink copper. I hate to see us come to that day because we're coming to that day. But it's okay. In the hoop, you fill the hoop. You fill the gap. Because there's only one God. There's only one God. One Mother Earth. There's only one. We cannot let corporations dictate the future. Here, the copper mines are buying water pockets all over the place. I tell my tribe, I tell, hey, they're buying, they're taking this water. In England, they had a meeting. Stockholders are concerned about copper running out. So they're buying water because they're saying water's the next goal. So your kids will have the investments into water in America. These are foreign people talking about this country of what they're buying. I don't know. really confuses me a lot, because a lot of people call this place home in America, but nobody protects it like home. And again, like I said, it could be the leading country to solve so many problems around the world. But we have to be honest. We have to be truthful. We have to tell it like it is. And that's what my mother used to say. You have to tell it like it is. Even though they may be upset with you, it's all right, because the truth has to be told. So today you feel that circle process. And all it is what God created. All it is the mother that gives us all this nourishment. These places are gone. It does not exist no more. These acorns. It takes 100 years for acorn to be produced. Some can produce around 60, but most of them around 100 years. You can feed a whole community with one coffee can. Acorn grind. So you can imagine you had a can of acorns for a family of 5, a family of 2, how long that lasts you. And all the proteins that you need. Medicine plants all around here. All kinds of stuff. But this is what they took our people away from. To put us in a place so that we can begin to forget those important things that God created. So, again, I just want to say thank you. Thank you so much. To my left, I have people from different tribes. And my work goes across the country to so many people. And when you need that support, there are these people who stood and told their people that we need to listen. We need to listen. So what I asked them to do is to give you an advice. Because the journey you're going to be on is a very difficult one. Mm-hmm. Because when I march to Mount Graham and we march here, and there's white people that tell me, Lester, we want to heal too. What can we do? I tell them, march with us. Come with us, because you're going to see your country. At the end of the march, they're crying, because they're getting yelled at. Oh, you Indian lovers. Yeah. They say all these awful things. And they're Christian people. Oh, you're not Christians. You guys are worshiping the devil. And I said, man, we get spit on. I get criticized. But my mother used to tell me, she used to say, son, that's what's really sad is because those of you who do that, they should be reminded of their own book. When Jesus walked and got slapped, spit on, yelled at. He said, that's all we're trying to do. But something reprogrammed to think something different. But she said, when this country cries, it's going to be time to heal. The Hopis asked me, why do you come out now? Apaches have been really quiet. And I said, well, I grew up with people who said, wait. So Father, wait. It's not time. Because when the country cries, it's going to be a time when God is here. And it's time to teach. Because then they'll listen. If you do that beforehand, they're not going to listen. Because they're looking at things more easy, an easy way to live. So in ending, before I turn it over, I just want to say thank you so much for being here. You are my brothers, you are my sisters, you are my family. And if we can't think that way, then we got a lot of problems. And know that evil starts within us. And it progresses to what it becomes. We have a lot of things, we have a lot of work ahead of us. There are the political issues that we have, all of us. Remember, and I think this was shared with you, the United States said, the only ones that have a spiritual connection to the earth is the native people. Then I said, wait, run that by me one more time. The native people are the only ones that the United States recognized that has a spiritual connection to the earth. I said, so you're telling me that everybody else other than Indians do not have a spiritual connection. And what they told me was they have a Bible. If they want to feel something spiritual, they can go back where they came from. This is your government saying this about what you practice. For me, there's only one God and what is holy. It's not ours, it belongs to everybody. And I said, do you tell the American people this? And the only way you're going to find out is I was telling Carol, shake the tree. Then the United States is going to have to respond and tell you that, hey, you have a Bible, be quiet, we'll do your thing. All this land is ours, the minerals is ours, stay out of it. I could not believe what I heard. And that's what I took to Carol and everybody else, the government desk, everybody. I said, this is what your government said. And I believe that the Bible is so important to so many people because of the teaching that it brings. But if it disconnects you from the Spirit, from what the government is saying, then all what is rightfully what God created is not being protected. And that's life and spirit. So you have a war of your own. But look at us here. We're ready to support you in that. Because it's not right. It's not right. And that's why it's a capitalist country that we live in. Look at our children. They go to school to learn how to be capitalists. That's the main objective. And at the end, I've talked to so many children over the years. And when Gosar put the first bill forward to be exempt from all federal laws, this boy who came 25 years ago, because now I didn't know he was the chief of staff, was the one that got us 3 Republican votes to kill the bill. They took this one kid. So knowing that it can happen gave me a lot more faith in what we're doing, if we do it right. So remember, we're all in this together when it comes to the religion, because the religion is being under attack. And this is what our court case represents. We'll talk about that later, but that's what it represents. This is not an Apache fight. It's a fight for religion. It's a fight for the spirit. Because once the United States wins this court case, then it's the precedence that is set across this country. That means that we can't do nothing as Indian people anymore. Our hopes are gone. But it also means you can never help. You couldn't even help. But you have to remember that the Mother Earth is what God created to give to us for life. We have to protect it. Enough is enough. We got to quit being greedy. And that's what's destroying so many different things. So these are the things that I travel and I talk to so many people, and it's not only coming from me. A lot of tribes call for today. A lot of tribes are praying right now, having their little ceremony, laying down offerings for today. So I just wanted to share that with you. With that, I'm going to turn it back over to Vanessa to begin to introduce our guest speakers. They're going to be giving you advice of their own experience with their journey. Because the journey you're going to take is an ugly one. Because you're going to really fight real evil where it's at. But you're going to find it's in ourselves. That so many of them have gone through so many things that it really resonated with me, because that's what I go through. It's just trying to spread God's word and saving all this, because there's going to be no water. They don't care for the town. I don't know if anybody's here from Globe, Miami Superior, but they don't care about these people. They're going to reroute the whole highway. They're going to kill the whole town. Nothing matters to them except what they can get from all these minerals. So anyway, I'm going to end there. And Vanessa, I'm going to bring back our MC. So thank you so much, everybody. Thank you for being here. Thank you.
Okay, we'll start with Morgan Freedom.
Hello, good morning. My name is Morgan Freedom, companion here to Vanessa. Thank you all for coming out here this morning, joining us. The steps you're taking are not only a crucial step, but it's a better step for our future. I look out and I see everyone's mostly older than me. I'm a young man, I'm 30. But seeing you all out here gives me hope for my little one right here with his sister. Because that's who we're fighting for. She doesn't have a voice just yet to tell this company over here not to destroy her water, destroy her air, destroy her life, her sister's life. I hope for today you take a moment to breathe in the air here, feel the land, feel that connection of what is the best example of what we're trying to reach out and tell the world. The little moment here being at Oak Flat. You see all these other campers here today? They don't even know. Or they might know what's going on here. But if not, they don't. But they're who we're fighting for also. We've had gatherings here of just the family coming up just for a cookout for a night. And we've seen Boy Scouts up here climbing the trees, running these hills, exploring everywhere. We got families doing the same thing, we're cooking out down the way. This struggle here is not just an Indigenous issue, not just an Apache issue. It's a human's right issue. You know, we all need clean water, clean air to breathe, to function. Our body alone is about 70% water. I've been praying and thinking about what to talk to you all about. Because I don't know a lot. But what I do know and what I'm sure of is these instruments here, like when Winston was talking about these tools, it was all alive at one point. Everything, just like us, serves a purpose. Whether we have a purpose of providing for our families, making sure our own health is good, our mentality is good, our spirituality is good. Everything has a tool. We are no greater or no less than it. We live in harmony. And I thank all those speakers that come up today to travel. I ask you to open your heart and mind. Listen, but not only just to us here. Listen to the wind. Take that moment, you hear that wind come through. Pause. Reflect. The ground here is very unique. I was very blessed with the opportunity over 5 years ago to come down here. And I was led down here to heal myself. Going through a lot of issues in my life, and very thankful to Winston and the family here at the South. Welcome me in, just like we were welcoming you all this morning. That's a very big difference here with the Stronghold versus a lot of other groups and struggles across the U.S. There's a lot of negative thoughts out there, whether people know what's going on today with what you all here are here for, as your own religious leaders yourselves. Thank you all. I'll play your song for you. Things about we're still here today. We're gonna keep going. So thank you all. Thank you all for your time and your company here.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Nolan Pike. I am Winston Nosey's eldest grandchild, and I will be your MC for today. I want to say thank you to my stepdad, Morgan. He had a Shayu dancing over here, and everything that he has done for the Apache Stronghold and my family doesn't go unseen. He is one of the strongest warriors, like we all are here today. And so up next, I'm going to call Daryl Marks from the Diné Nation.
Nas Estabaha, Ado na Kaidana Bashichin, Kislichini Dashiche, Ado Ashita Shanala, Tona Hali de Nasha, Ado Nlere Kinsana Dasharan. First and foremost, I'm a proud father of three. And I am White Corn Zuni Edgewater, born for those going home. My maternal grandparents are Red House, paternal grandparents are Salt. I'm originally from the community of Tamalia, which is north of us, maybe a good 200 miles, just over the hill. And I reside with my family in Kinsana, in Flagstaff, many homes, next to a sacred mountain to many people, 14 different tribes who call that space home. Our church, Toko Sleep, the San Francisco Peak. And I think about how significant that mountain is to so many people, and I think about how important this space is right here, and how they communicate with one another. And everything that I was hearing from Winsler, and from Morgan, and just from the songs and the drums, what I'm hearing takes me back home to where my grandmother was born, great-grandmother was born, and where my great-great-great-great-grandparents all come from. Now, I said that I'm White Corn Zuni Edgewater. I hope that when I'm saying that, I'm telling you who my mom is. And all of these things that I'm saying with that is corn, right? Water. Now, we tease one another as Navajo people. They say that Edgewater people are beach boys. They're the ones that bring salt water to the community, right? And so we're known to be travelers and move around and bring those stories back to our community. And corn, just like you've seen with Hudadin, corn pollen, those things are sacred. It's one of our elements. It's one of our sacraments that we participate in. Now, I also said Zuni. At one point in our history, Zuni people took in a child and raised that child as a Navajo child, but made sure that child did not forget where they came from. Now, I don't know who that person is, but I know that my family carried that person, their bloodline, that story forward for many, many generations. I said that I'm not Khaidane. Those going home, people moving back and forth from space to space. Again, more travelers. Right? And if you look at my moccasins, my feet, I've got some holes in those. So I'm trying very hard to follow in the steps of my relatives, my ancestors, my family, my parents, to move. And not just move with physical being, but to move with spirit, to carry that forward. I said I'm Kikwachitan, my mom's dad. My mom's dad's mom, actually. Right? And Kikwachitan means red house. Right? And if you've ever made your way up north or even just moved around in these spaces, you'll find those homes that are made with red stone. They all sit near water. And then I said I'm salt people. Now, salt for us is usually found near water. The mines get pushed out by water coming through the aquifer. Now, I'm sitting here with my son, Machias, and my other son is tethering us back home near the sacred mountain, and he's praying for us to keep us safe. Right? And Machias and his brother, they're near the water people. That's their mom's clan. And near the water people are the freshwater people. So when I think about these convergences and how his mother and I came together and we gave birth to these amazing human beings that lead me back to where I come from, that remind me of not only the stories that I heard as a child, but are reminding me of the stories and communication that was carried through the ancestors' voice. Now, I might be the father, but that young man and his brother are my leaders. They guide me through life. How I came to run and find the Nosy family and the Apache stronghold was because I was trying to figure out, what do I need to do next? How do I lead myself to be a good father to my children? Now, growing up, it wasn't easy. I was raised around different religions to give us guidance. And there were times in my life where I was taught or told that I wasn't good enough, no matter what I would do, right? No matter what religion I followed, I wasn't going to be good enough. And the things that had happened to my family, to my people, to my elders, that was because someone thousands of years ago committed a sin, and I was to pay for that. And I did not want to raise my children in that understanding. I didn't want them to think that you're less than. Because in Navajo, we say, you are the children of the deities. You are the children of God. And I'm blessed to be the one to hold you and carry you. So I have to lead with that. And I love that Shayu was able to laugh and sing and dance. I love watching her move because she's still carrying that spirit. She's closer to God than I am. And as I get older, I get to look forward to that. And so we cherish our children. And I appreciate Morgan sharing his heart, how he's looking out for his daughter and her future. This space, water is sacred, right? Our women are sacred. So important. These spaces, we have to recognize how beautiful life is, but also that this mother that we're sitting with right now, here, what you might call Oak Flat, this space is being violated, right? We have to be honest, being violated, being desecrated. And each one of you has a vantage point. You can look and you see that line right there. We can't be blind to it. It's not something that we're like, yeah, I don't know where it's at. I was talking with my son about, because I work in the schools, right? We was talking with some children. And I'm saying, we all have fingerprints, right? We all see those spirals. Every single one of us with 5 fingers, right? I hope I'm asking that question. We all have 5 fingers, right? Yeah? Okay, great. Now, you all have 5 toes, and those toes have spirals, right? Now, I don't have to take off your shoes to show you those things exist, right? That those spirals are there. But those feet carry you through the world. Just as your hands hold you, push you, pick you up, and carry you through the world. That spiral exists right here on the top of your head. Those of you that have short hair, you'll see that spiral. And we see that spiral when our babies crown into the world. The first thing that emerges, and it's not that I'm sorry, Mom, right? Feet came from whatever, I'm sorry, right? But we crown into the world, and that breath of life is given to us. That's what gives us these spirals. It gives us these spirals on our feet that carry us through the world, into the world, right? That breath of life, that gives us the ability to speak, and we have to use our words right now. All of us do. All of you do. Because when we're challenged by corporations, when we're challenged by greed, when we're challenged by capitalism, the one thing that I struggle with, my family struggles with, I've heard other Indigenous people struggle with, is that when we sit down with like elected leaders, what do they do? Congressmen, senators, whoever that might be. They'll sit there and they'll listen and they'll nod their head. Okay. Somebody's taking notes over here. We're listening to you. Great, you're listening to me. Thank you, right? Thank you for giving us this time. We really appreciate it. Oh, it's so, right, this is how I feel. These are the things that are happening to my people. This is what's going to happen to my children's children. Thank you. We're taking note of that. Great. What are you going to do? Nothing. Because we have to talk to your elected leaders, your tribal leaders. Because it's a government to government when it comes to Indigenous people. So I could have my son, my other children. I could bring my whole family. I could bring my entire tribe. I could get 1,000 people to stand in front of a senator and a congressman or some other elected leader who makes these decisions. And they say, where's your elected leader? We want to talk to them. We need to hear from them, and that they decide that these things need to change. Then we'll have a discussion. We'll see what we can do. And I think about those elected leaders in my community. I even think about when I had an opportunity to run for tribal council, right? I didn't win. And I think about that, and I think, who did win, right? Who got the most votes? And it was the person who had the most money to be able to promote themselves and to get out that message to the community saying, hey, I'm going to run, I'm going to do these things. And did they? No, right? But it was the money that got them there. And then when I dug a little deeper and I asked, like, where did that money come from? There was corporations, right, that were donating. They're like, hey, if you get elected, we need you to sign this so that we can get this space, so that we can do these things. We can extract, we can take, and we can take, and we can take. And I wasn't willing to do that. I wanted to protect what was there because I'm not thinking about what do I need right now. I'm thinking about what do my children need? What do their children need? What are the things that I need to protect right now so that they have a future? Even if it's as simple as water. And so when I think about that conversation with these elected leaders that we've had for years, and I ask them and I beg them and I'm crying and I'm pleading, please, for my children's children's children, do this simple thing. Protect this water. Protect this space. Secure it. And they don't listen. They want to talk to my elected leaders, whoever that might be. And then here comes a well-meaning person from my community who just happens to be white, right? And they were like, I donated to your campaign. Oh, okay, yeah. Let's sit down. Let me listen. What are your concerns? I want to hear what you have to say. I'm like, I donated too, right? I mean, it doesn't matter what I do. That other person got to sit down, have a private meeting, and have that conversation. And they felt that that constituent, that elected leader was listening to them. What do I have to do? So I'm asking, right, to all of you, each and every one of you, all of my relatives with 5 fingers out there. Because I know that there's other relatives out here, the trees, the plants, the animals, the rocks, and everything else that I can talk to, and I know that I'm being heard, and I'm asking you, my relatives, the families that you come from, the lineage, the bloodline that you all come from. Help us protect the water. Help us protect the space. Use your voice, that breath that was given to you, to speak up for us, to speak up for all of us. Right? Because if we don't, that money will make those decisions. And I'll close with this. As Winsor was talking about water being worth more than money, I think I heard growing up multiple times, Mark Twain said, right here in the Southwest, water will be worth more than gold. And I see that happening, and it scares me. Because I don't know, I can barely afford rent. How am I going to be able to buy water now? When it comes down, and the sky is underneath us right now, like Morgan said, it's in us. Do I have to sell myself to get water? Do we have to sell ourselves to get water? So please, thank you for your time, thank you for your ears, and thank you for being relatives. Yeah.
Thank you, Daryl, for all your words. And he is right. We are all different groups of people from different walks of life, but we're all coming here together to fight for one thing, and that is the future of humanity. Without water, we cannot exist. And so, just as a reminder, all of the teachings that we are giving you, all of the prayers, all of the songs, they're here for you, because you're entering a fight that's been here since time immemorial. And so you need these tools. You need these spiritual tools that we are giving you here today. And so we're going to call up Josh and Carla from the Ohlone, California.
Isakane, Isakanga, Shavagnavi, Nawayane, Herkanoiha, Omacha, Wishkoneha. Hello, greetings. I'm from the villages of Isakanga, Shavagnavi, which is present-day San Gabriel, Montebello, California. My tribal name is Shang Standing Oak. I'm also Chiricahua Apache from my dad's mother's side. Yeah, I'm just happy to be here. I'm going to pass it on to my partner so she can introduce herself as well.
Nishishu Gaingara Carnamari Munoz, Gaha Kosaran Ramson Carnal tribe, Gaha Ramson speaking Aloni, Mr. Shadoway, and Amakan. Good morning, my relatives. I'm so happy to be here with all of you today. I'm very grateful to the Apache Stronghold for having us here and the grace of our ancestors for getting us all here.
And my people from my mother's side, we're Gabrielino Pangba. We're the indigenous people of the Los Angeles Basin. So again, I'm happy to be here with you all to share this space with you. And I just want to welcome you all. Welcome home, like my teachers and my Uncle Wenzel would always say. As a person who's mixed, I have Spanish blood, I have Sicilian blood, Greek blood, Irish, if I didn't mention that already. Look into our history. Look past what we call ourselves as Americans. Our people were indigenous to Europe at one point in time. If you look back into the Roman times, when they were fighting the Germanic tribes, they're calling them like what the Americans were calling our people, savages, barbarians. They had that spiritual connection. If you look past all that, no matter where you are in this world, your ancestors were indigenous to that area. They had a spiritual connection to the earth. They traded the water, the fire, which is important to all of our cultures, because without that fire, we wouldn't be here today. We wouldn't have food to keep keep us out of our bellies, to keep us warm. Just like they said, with all the elements that we have here that the Creator gives us, it's important to acknowledge that. I just want to give you advice as somebody who was lost at one point in time. And the reason why I'm thankful for Chichilpa Tapatio is because this is where I reconnected with my Apache side. I seen my cousin Nalin and the family on a episode of Vice. I think it was called We Rise or Rise, I believe. And they were talking about Oak Flat. During the time of my dad's mother, my grandma Stella, when she was transitioning into the spirit world, she started talking to us in Apache, and we didn't understand that language because we weren't taught going those ways. So when my cousins and I are looking at our grandma thinking maybe, it's the dementia that's causing this for her to speak in another language, what we thought was gibberish, my aunt pulled us to the side and said, no, grandma's going home. Grandma's going back to the ways that she was taught. But my grandfather, who was a Catholic man, he didn't like that language being spoken, so she had to hide it from him. So when she passed away, I wanted to look into my Apache side. I wanted to know who I was. And this was around the time when Standing Rock was going on. So I had a heart, something in my heart was telling me to go home and look who I was. Same thing with my mother's side. We weren't brought up knowing about our Tonga side because of the time and the period in America. My great-grandfather, Sluggo, he was the one that was raised in a time where he couldn't be proud to be indigenous. He would get real upset when people would call him a Mexican because he said, I'm not a Mexican, I'm Gabrielino. Well, before that time, we called ourselves LA Indians. Gabrielino was the name that was given to us by the Catholic Church when we were enslaved during the whole 21 missions of California. So this place holds a special place in my heart. And I've been coming here since 2016. I ran for Oak Flat. I marched for Oak Flat. I spent the night here at Oak Flat. I've seen the Gons bless the lands of Oak Flat. And I'm thankful for my uncle, Wensler, for teaching me the ways. And a special person, Tony Logan. I call him Papa Tony, Grandpa Tony, for those of us who are familiar with him. But I was thankful for that man because he taught me a lot. He taught me the language. He taught me the songs. And now he's no longer here with us. He's with the ancestors. And every time I come here, I always hear his voice. Even coming up here, I was showing my partner his CD, and we were listening to the songs. And it was funny because every time I would be here, he'd always have a case of CDs with him. And whoever he felt he liked, he would always give that CD to him. And I would always make clown with him. Like, what's wrong, Uncle? When are you going to start doing a tour? When are you going to start, promoting yourself? And he always had the CDs with him. But again, I'm thankful to be here with all my relatives, and I'm happy to be here with you all. You're all home now. What's to come in the future is important because the devil comes in many ways. It could be through greed, lust, alcohol, drugs, whatever it is. But stand your ground. Believe in that faith that you are here supporting. Jesus stood to the guns before dealing with the devil, with the temptation, wanting to give him water, wanting to give him food for fasting those 40 days. And Jesus stood his ground and said, no, evil's going to come. And I'm not telling you this to scare you. It's for you to understand what us as the indigenous people have been dealing with since time immemorial. Thank you all for being here. It really makes me feel happy to see all these walks of life, the colors of the medicine wheel, red, white, black, and yellow. So again, a wish koneha and ahia for being here.
So my people come from the central coast of California. We are water protectors. If you're not familiar with the Ohlone territory, it spans from San Francisco and it goes down to Big Sur and inwards towards Salinas Valley. It's a huge territory, and we were part of the 21 missions that were built on that sacred trade route of our people. And what we say is we were the foundation of faith in California. Those places were built for us and by us. And what we knew is that we had to conform to that new way of life, that we had to become one with their faith. But when you go into these missions and you go into the chapel especially, you look up at the ceiling, you see basket weave patterns that my people painted there. And what we believe is that when they were forcing us to pray and forcing this new religion, we were able to look up and remember who we were and remember where we come from and that special relationship to the earth. Because a basket takes so much. You need to understand Earth's time. You need to know when it's right to gather these materials and when it's time to put them together and for what intent. And that shows you patience with the earth. Something that, we are lacking today. We are modern day, disrespectful God. There's so many genocides that happened, waves of genocide, and they always talk about the three. The first was colonization of the missions, the next was the Spanish period, then of course the expansion west with the American period. But what a lot of people don't understand is the new wave of genocide is this plastic period that we're going through right now. It's eating our oceans, it's affecting us. This modern wave of convenience is so detrimental to our people because now people don't understand what it is to give for knowledge. You ask Siri, you ask Alexa, she gives you things in such a fast turnaround, but you don't know what it's like to obtain that knowledge from those elders and give a gift to receive that knowledge and carry that knowledge in the world. And one thing that my grandpa always tells us is about the 7 generations. You always think, what's the 7th generation? I always hear this all the time. But what we know the 7th generation is that our influence comes from our parents. And all of their knowledge and their influence comes from their parents, their grandparents. And they get their knowledge from their great-grandparents. So that's 3 generations that are behind us. And then it becomes our responsibility for all that knowledge that we take in and give it to our children, our grandchildren, and our great-grandchildren. And that's 3 generations after us. So that means we are that 7th generation to carry that responsibility of that healing. So I want you all to look at the person to the left of you. Now I want you all to look at the person to the right of you. And because I know that was challenging, look at the person straight ahead of you. In this circle, there is no one higher or lower than anybody else. We are all equal in responsibility to our Mother Earth. We are all equal to take care of this Mother Earth for the next 7 generations to come. Because we want to make sure that breath that we took this morning continues to be fresh for our future generations. They are crown jewels. They are the ones that we're preparing all of this for. It's so important to know that. And to know that in our territory. We had an abundance of everything. We never had to ask for it to rain. We never had to ask the deer to roam. Everything was done to give thanks. Our ceremony, our prayers, everything was to give thanks. And that's super important to us, that we know that prayer is about appreciation. Prayer is about understanding the gifts that you're given and being thankful for those gifts and protecting them so that everyone can get that gift. So right now, I just want to share a short song because I know we're on a time limit. But the song that I want to sing is to our Mother Earth. And in this song, it says Amakatura, which is our Mother Earth, and Kuksui is the religion that we followed. And we knew that that was our big head. And so it's very important that I share this song with you all here today and thank the ancestors that brought me here and thank the ancestors of this land for keeping me safe while I'm here.
And the song I'll be sharing is a going home song. We always tell people when we sing this in our presentations to go back, and this is another teaching that my Uncle Windsor taught me. Go back to where your ancestors called home. Know the language, know the prayers, know the songs, know the culture, know their ways of life. And this song is called Yamohene. Yamohene, Yamohene. Yamohene, 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 hey Yamohene, Kingaro, Yamohene, 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 Yamohene. Yamohene, Yamohene, hey Yamohene, Kingaro, Yamohene, 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 Yamohene. Ahobe, what's gonna
I think the fight to bring Okla to Chilkashogapel is a fight that brought my brothers and sisters here. I would have never met so many people in my life if it wasn't for Okla. But I think that in a time of war, we meet our brothers and sisters and we cling on to them even harder. And so up next, I would like to introduce Matone Brown. Shayu. He is a Pomo and Apache, and so he's going to come up and share some words.
Good morning. I want to thank my family for inviting me out here to speak to everyone here about our culture. My father is from Atlanta, California, and my mom is from here. She's Apache. So I had it pretty tough in growing up because I had two cultures to go by. Here, we turn to the right. In Elam, Pomo, we turn to the left. So I got to make sure which way I am going. There is no right or wrong for me. It's left or right. In Pomo culture, we don't believe in hierarchy. We don't believe in one God. We believe in more than one God. We pray to, the rocks and the sky people, the rock people, the bears. And so it's very hard to, distinguish all of that. I also went to Catholic school. In Catholic school, you had to pray every day. You had to pray before lunch, and you had to pray after school. So when I was living with my family in California, my grandma had told me that if you live the right way, you don't have to pray every day. And so that is something I had went by. And I never knew what I've done growing up. I always thought it was a way of life. I didn't know it was called religion. And the thing for Native people is that Apache or a Pomo can be Catholic or Christian, but we also have to live our Apache way and our Pomo life. There is no way of getting out of that. Growing up, like someone had said up here, we went to all the churches. My dad had took us to Mormon church, Jehovah's Witness, Lutheran, to find this certain things in what he was looking for. And we came to find out that we were still back home. Our culture and our beliefs is still back home. The Native Americans we're all indigenous, but we are all different people. We all believe in different things. But one thing that we all believe in is Mother Earth. The way this circle is made and it faces the east is the same way we have at Elam. Our roundhouse, the door is faced toward the east. So everything that we believe in Mother Earth and the water, it's all similar to us, all the natives. But again, we are different people, and we believe in different things. And for me, I have a very strong Apache culture family I was growing up in. And on my dad's side, they were all medicine people and singers. So for me, there's no choice of how I'm going to grow up. I'm going to grow up in my culture. And to see you guys here and understand how important this land is very good, because you're going to see what we need. We need this land, and we need this water. In Elam, they built a mine right next to our land, and it polluted it. You can't fish there. You can't swim there. And it's the biggest lake in California. And it got polluted. It started in 1872, and they had some of our native people go to work there. They had a lot of Asians go to work there, and a lot of people had died in that mine. And so it polluted, and even to this day, a lot of people had died from cancer from that, from the tailings. So you think about the tailings that's going to happen here in Superior. It's going to pollute you. It's going to cause cancer. And what my uncle was trying to say is we were trying to stop it. Not only for us, but for you and your family. So this fight is for everyone. And as my uncle would say, we have to talk to this land. We have to talk to this water. We have to talk to these rocks. We got to talk to these trees. We're communicators. My uncle, he communicates with the trees and the land and the water. And that's something that's very important. And that goes for all Native American tribes. Again, we are different people. You know, the Pomos, we have the creation story from the coyote. And when we pray beyond earth. We pray toward the universe, to the stars and the moon and the sun. We've always known this earth was round. We didn't need astronomy to tell us that. So, we're always connected to Mother Earth. And I want to thank everybody for coming here. And so I'm going to sing a prayer song, and then I'm going to sing a fire song. Okay? And just out of respect, just have no one record it. You can take pictures, just don't record it, okay? Thank you. Hi.